Hello. I wanted to come on here and talk about relationships. As a proudly single woman, I have been spending a lot of time alone. I have been dating quite a bit, and I've also been on the verge of like celibacy. Not true, but feels like it to me. Um, I was I always think about like how I have a very high sex drive, and that is ultimately what got exploited, along with like my ability to play, my ability to just like, I don't know, for me, it's like being really present. And I'm reading up a lot of these things about um, when you're in a relationship and you want to have a lot of sex, it could be due to an anxious attachment, which with all of the inner work that I've done, that's definitely where I have lied on the spectrum of, you know, attachment styles. Not to say that we can't like dwindle through each one. FYI, like I just, anything that I take in within self-development or from anything, like even the news, is like take it in with a grain of salt and don't hold it so rigid, just like use it as a guide, and if it fits in the moment, great, and if it doesn't, then amazing. And I also then sometimes feel like labeling it something like that takes away from possibly like what I actually feel and what I actually like. Maybe I just do have a high sex drive, and it can go by myself, it can be like really high. And by myself, it can go in like a lower period. And then with a person, it can be the same thing. And yeah, I would say in my past, I absolutely had like the need to be loved and like chosen and all of these things. And I absolutely used sex in a way to try and get that. So I'm not like taking away from, that aspect that is there or was there. I feel very aware of it now. And so I'm like, I wouldn't call myself anxious attachment, an anxious attachment person anymore. So yeah, I'm trying to like mold this into the conversation that I want to talk about with relationships. But anyways, speaking of like relationships, being aware, I'll bring in the sex again later. Let's kind of jump over here for a second. Love, romance, relationships. Within my dating life, I see a lot from myself in the past and have done a lot of internal work. And now I'm stepping back into dating and sort of looking at it at a perspective, possibly even more just like a witnessing perspective. And, I recognize these things in other people that I'm going to talk about coming up here because I've had it within myself. So when I say these things, it's not because I don't have the ability to be like that, or I've never been like that and might not be like that. It's just I'm trying to look at it from another perspective and see outside of myself so that I can like make the best decision for myself on who I let into my energy, into my bedroom, and all of these things, into my beauty. Okay, so what I'm noticing from a lot of people, again, comes from within too, is entering into relationships based on desperation, need for something to be fulfilled. I find I date men, so I'm not going to just say this is just men. It's just my dating experiences with men right now. This could be for anybody, anyone. They, I don't want to put this on myself right now, enter into relationships almost acting as if they're just going to get their own needs fulfilled. And that's all they want from the relationship or the relation. So lately I have been noticing for myself, I'm wanting partnership. I'm really happy to be single, by the way, like really want to say that. There are challenges in every choice. There are challenges in being single. And yet I would way rather be alone and within my own choice of energy and people than just like be with just anybody. And within that level of like centeredness, we'll call it for right now. Yeah, I just like, and again, not that I can't have moments of desperation or like, this needs to be filled right now. I have a need. Why isn't it getting, not that I don't have that, but my level of awareness, I would say, just like caps that more. And so, and I think also the reason, PS, that I'm keeping this outside of myself is because I don't want to put this on myself and be like, I am this way. I'm working actively to shift and change that and step outside. So that's kind of why I'm putting it outside of myself, even though I have the qualities inside, absolutely, and have the ability to do that. And I'm not judging and saying everyone else and it's not me. Okay. So just hang loose, hang loose. But yeah, like they come into the dating experience. I want partnership, and I'm very clear about it, and I'm very like confident in it. And I'm also okay that if that's too much for someone or they're looking for something else that is just not aligned, and I'm like, great, we're not aligned. Let's not even go on this date. Like, I just don't think it's going to work out. And a lot of men so far, from my experience, have entered in saying, I want partnership as well. Yeah, like I'm ready for partnership too. And then we talk about, before we meet up, we talk about like a lot of other things that we're aligned with. Like we even talk about, do you want kids? I'm 37. I'm not going to waste my fucking time. And if you don't know, that's okay. It's just like, have you thought about these things? What do you think for yourself? What do you feel? Like I'm in a relationship, which I'm going to get into. I want to make sure the other person's taken care of. Oh my gosh, what a concept. But yeah, they enter into this like experience, this dating experience, or enter into my energy with like an abomination of their needs. And it's almost like really like big, it's forceful. Sometimes it appears soft, but then it comes out quite a bit later. After time, and more specifically, after we have sleep together, whether it's early or we wait a while, it just seems to be this trigger for them possibly. And I have theories, but after a while, it comes out that they're actually like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not in a place. I can't even like do a relationship, and they freak out and they leave. And I'm like, okay, like if that's where you are, that's fine. I don't want to be in any sort of, I don't want to put my energy into a romantic relationship when someone's not ready to step in to a relationship. Relationship is relation, relation with another person. And I'm finding a lot of these men, a lot of people, again, I'm not just like, this is just my experience, but a lot of these people enter in being like, yeah, like I'm ready for a relationship. But what they're ready for, it seems, is for their own needs to be met. And as soon as, myself or someone else has another need, they go like, oh my gosh, like I'm not ready for a relationship. And nobody's ever blamed me. I have needs. And that's something that I've had to work on, being a woman, how I was brought up. And sort of like the things that were around me, I totally neglected all of my needs to make sure I felt safe, and to make sure that I felt loved, and to make sure that I was okay, and that I was like seen as an actual person that was existing. I forgo everything, the people pleaser, whatever you want to call it, to make sure that I felt loved. And that's like, sadly, like that's sort of desperation, that's sort of confusion. Like I didn't understand anything. And so I was just like, what? And as an innate feeling as a human is to be loved, So I forego all of that. And now I don't do that. And I totally understand. I can tell when I'm, if I'm being reactive. I can tell if I'm in my anxious attachment. I can tell, I can tell even in the moment when I'm like, if I'm like having a conversation or talking to them or I'm in person, I'm like, right now, I'm like, I just need to let you know I'm activated. I am in this sort of feeling, and this is what you're going to be getting, but I'm trying to get to what I'm actually feeling right now because something's up, something's not right. My needs are not being met. Either I'm not communicating my needs enough to you, or you're actually not even taking my needs into consideration. And so, yeah, it's just interesting. Like, I'm unsure if the men I'm going on dates with that say they're ready for partnership understand what that even means. And then I think about like people in general, and I'm like, do people in general understand what a partnership means? Not even just like I'm looking for boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm looking for like companionship. No, it's like I'm looking for partnership. And relationship partnership to me signifies taking on this other person as someone you really truly care about. Like, yes, you need to be first in your relationship with anybody, with yourself, with somebody else. Like, you need to take care of yourself first. But I feel like in relationships, you should care about that other person just as much. Never like sacrificing. I don't like the term sacrifice or compromise. I do not agree with it. Don't compromise or sacrifice your own needs to make someone else happy. You can collaborate. You can collaborate to find a solution that feels best for both parties, especially in conflict or in areas that need to be like kind of, figured out. Yeah, this is just something that I've been noticing for myself and thinking about in general. Like, I didn't have the understanding before. I didn't understand what it meant to truly like love myself, but love somebody else. Um, I didn't understand what a deep connection looked like before. I had them, and I thought I had them, and I did have them in terms of like sharing energy and all of that, and caring about each other. But really, like, when I think about my relationships now, not just romantic, I'm like, oh, like, this is what a relationship is. This is what partnership is. Like, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's like my best friend, it's like, no, we care. Like, they care about me, I care about them. And having that relationship, if they depend on me, then, at times I need to depend on them. And there needs to be an understanding of that. And I don't know if it's male specific, because again, I'm only dating men, but I'm just finding that as soon as I have a need at all, they crash, crumble, and are like, they don't say to me anymore, like, you're too much. I used to get that before because I was just like so confused and so full of like desperation and rage and being like, what the fuck is going on? Why aren't you caring for me? And now I'm not in that energy state. I'm just like, I don't know, it's just different. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, if you think my needs are too much, that's fine. I matter. So if that's not going to be able to be sort of taken care of in this circumstance, then I definitely don't want to be here. Next, please, I guess, or something like that. And yeah, so I just really have been thinking about that and thinking about that for myself, where like I really, I've been saying I've been looking for partnership for a long time, and it's really interesting. It's cool to see, I haven't met my partner yet. That's okay. Maybe I'm going to be 50 when I meet them. I'm okay with that. And I just, yeah, I just see myself learning about partnership as I desire partnership. And it's really cool. And I really, truly feel so ready to enter in with someone who's also truly ready to enter in. And as they are, like, not one person is perfect and has everything figured out. That's not the point. And again, that's wanting to be there for the other person and be able to understand their needs and meet their needs and sometimes exceed their needs. Again, not sacrificing your own. And it's just, yeah, it's I'm experiencing a lot and going through a lot. And another reason too that I also think a lot of these men leave, and I really believe this, not for everybody. But you know, at the beginning, we're like talking, we haven't met up, or we've met up like once or twice, we've gone out, we've been giggling, we have this really good connection, we're talking about our feelings, our desires, our needs, our wants. And then as soon as we connect physically, like, I don't know, like to me, it's so special to connect with someone, even if it's just a one night stand. Like there is this, whether it's like a power or ability or just the way I am, is like when I'm connecting with someone, like it feels, I don't know, it's like presence, it's power, it's special, even if it's just having sex. Like I just find it to be such a cool way to connect with someone. And again, whether that's attached to anxious attachment or not, like there also is the other aspect of it not being about that at all. And then about being and it, yeah, and then about and it about being like this beauty, this presence, this point of connection with someone else in such a kind of funny, interesting way. Wow, it's just so special. So all things are there. But yeah, I find like after that physical connection happens and we have an emotional bond already, it's like sheer panic just goes through them. Me too. This is something I claim I will absolutely be like, I am also here and I am actively working through it. And I'm noticing it in other people too. So maybe this is why I have this feeling of like, I'm pretty sure this is why this is happening, because it's also happening for me. And I can see it on both of our fucking faces, you know, is the total terrifying fear of love. Like, oh my gosh, we have a connection. We really like each other. We're on the same page. So what we've talked about. And then that happens. And it's just like after the most recent time I was dating someone, after we had sex the first time together, I started to like panic. I had like almost a panic attack. Like my throat started to close up and I was like, like I was like freaking out. And so yeah, I was like terrified. And for me, I just said to them like, whoa, I'm panicking. I'm terrified of feeling, of opening my heart. I'm terrified of feeling things, you know, and this is really scary for me. I know that for myself, those feelings are very scary because of the whole sex tape ordeal too. Like I know that. I was watching Sex Education and there are so many parts where, you know, oh shit, what's his name? Oh fuck. It's not David. Anyways, one of the he's like he's gay, he's going to his church. Gosh, what's his name? And he ultimately was like going to be baptized. And oh my gosh, spoiler alert. Holy cow, if you haven't seen it, try not to ruin it. I hate spoiler alerts, and I'm sitting here doing it. But he goes to get baptized and he goes, hold on, the church didn't really know who he was fully. And he's like, if you can accept me for who I am, then I cannot be baptized and I'm going to walk away from this community. And maybe I won't spoil it for you. Maybe I will. I'm gonna try not to. But ultimately, like in that moment, I'm so ruining it for you. He had to walk away. And there are other things that I'm like swallowing like crazy. This is so hard for me to talk about. It was really hard for me to watch. Like I'm emotional thinking about it. There were other circumstances where there was either like one of their friends was kind of getting like emotionally abused by someone. And then there was another circumstance where someone else was, you know, dealing with their relationship and their gender and all of these things and toxic positivity. And there's like, oh, it's such a good show. It's such a good show. It's such a good show. And ultimately the thing that got me was I just like, whether I did this to myself or this just happened, I'm kind of unsure at this point, but like, I feel like no one stood up for me in what happened to me, and nobody wanted to see how hurt I was, and nobody said anything. Like people did try to do things, yes, and they did step up, did try to help me, but it felt disconnected from what I needed. And it also just, yeah, there was no like real connection to like, what do I want? It was almost like them trying to help in their like energy, which is so awesome and like so appreciative. And like, that's a great friend, you know, in that moment. And yet like I had to walk away from even those people that were trying to help me because it just like wasn't what I needed. And I wasn't voicing what I needed. So it's not like it's on them. I didn't understand any of it. And I don't think many people in the world, even at that time, understood like consciousness, aware, you know, being aware, self-reflection. Like it just wasn't as much of a conversation before. And so I feel like I like had to leave everything. And I just I don't feel right now, and maybe I'm missing something, but I don't feel like my community stood up for me or anyone in the community stood up for me. Nobody tried to understand. In fact, everyone just pushed it away and just like pretended it didn't happen or pretended I don't exist or, you know, canceled me from something. And I just like, I felt so alone, and I became a nomad ultimately because I was so uncomfortable and didn't trust anyone. And I felt so confused and so overwhelmed and so lost. And so jumping into my relationships right now, you know, that hurt and that pain wasn't just from romance. It was from everyone. Work, family, friends, romance, got totally ditched from my romantic relationship at the time. Really, when I think about it, he had no desire to understand me and care for me at all. I had trouble asking for it. And so again, I'm not gonna like, and I totally neglected my needs to cater to other people. And so when I all of a sudden had these needs and I had this big issue, it's kind of on me too, right? Like nobody cared because I never put myself in a situation to be cared for in a real way. I took care of everyone else so that I could feel safe in love, friends, everyone. So I'm taking ownership and accountability, but I'm also looking at these people that are around me being like, ouch, you know, was nobody able to see what I was doing? And I guess we didn't talk about these things. We didn't understand these concepts, but was nobody able to see what was going on with me? Like nobody. And I guess I couldn't. How is anyone supposed to if I can't? But there is a part of me that feels really hurt. And I watched that sex education episode and I was like, oh, I didn't have that. Oh my God, no wonder things have been so fucking chaotic for so long. Oh my gosh, no wonder like you're struggling to fix this in your life and step into this, and like everything got shattered. Every form of trust got shattered. And I'm building that within myself because that was missing before. It was missing. I didn't have that love for myself. I didn't have that trust for myself. I didn't trust myself. There's still moments where I don't right now where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Does that mean I can't trust myself? Welcome to being human, you know, step in as consciously as you can, as lovingly as you can. We can't always have everything figured out. We will not always know the answers. So yes, you can trust yourself. Yes, Rebecca, you can trust yourself. And I'm saying to you too. Lean into that trust. And that's what I'm working to do in relationships. And the more I discover that I'm totally worthy and valid for having needs and to have them being not only met, but exceeded, it just makes me feel good. That makes me feel excited. And so now it doesn't matter who comes in my path or who, I don't know, tries to steal energy from me. That's not happening. Or who wants to come in with their desperation and insecurities. Like they're not a bad person for being in that place, being desperate, insecure, or just like a total mess. It's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just not where I'm at. And hold on. Okay, hold on. It's okay if you have those qualities and you're aware of them and want to step in with someone with that, you know, and also be able to take care of someone else. Like I have insecurities. I'm dealing with a lot of shit still. I mean, we all are, right? Every day brings something where you're like, oh my gosh, really? Like, but it's the willingness to want to share that with someone, share that side of yourself with someone vulnerably, and also be able to be in a place in moments and at times where you go, okay, holy cow, you matter right now. And I want to hear you, take care of you, and provide. And, like that's sort of a relationship to me in especially romantic, when we so deem these partnerships as like the relationship of your life, right? Like if that's the case, then like, yeah, we need to be willing, which I don't fully believe, by the way. Like my other relationships are so fucking important. But I'm just saying, like societally, we put so much pressure on it, but we have zero knowledge on what it actually means. And like zero is a strong percentage, but that's what it feels like right now. That is so not the case. And there are conscious people, there are people that are ready for partnership. I'm looking forward to people blowing my mind and actually being ready, a person, people, whatever, to blow my mind and show me this like new thing that I'm discovering that I'm loving. I'm looking for that reciprocation. Interesting. It's so interesting just thinking about it. I'm like, why is my throat closing up constantly? I have been fighting something off, but being terrified of receiving what I'm like actually asking for is kind of cool, because I'm like at that place where I'm ready to receive, and I'm like, ooh, like, oh my gosh, what's it actually going to feel like when someone actually cares for me? What it's actually going to feel like when someone is like, oh my gosh, you're hurt. What do you need? Not like, here's what I think you need to do, or don't worry about it, or everyone goes through it sometimes. It's like, yeah, of course everyone goes through things sometimes, but like, hello, like what about what I need right now? And I'm really like excited, but I'm also terrified to have like, what is it going to feel like? I don't know what that's going to feel like. So, which is what I think maybe some other people are experiencing too, that I'm dealing with. Like, I'm unsure. I'm just really looking for someone who's as conscious or as aware of their truth, good, bad, ugly, great, awesome, terrible, whatever, like who's just really like able to be like, you know, this is who I am right now. I want to share this with you and show you who I am. And I also want you to show me who you are. And let's like take this in, baby, like let's do this. And consciously enter into relationships, knowing that your needs matter and that the other person's needs matter. Union? Where did that come from? Union. Interesting. I didn't like how I said the word union. It's a relationship, Amen. All right. I could factor in a lot of things that are going on to the world with the sort of conversation of like caring for other people as much as we care for ourselves and our people or other people. That is something I want to take a breath with. There's still so much going on for people I know, for myself emotionally, but for the people that are actually going through certain things, I'm trying not to touch on it right here, not because I'm trying to avoid it or neglect it or take away from it, just because I don't know if I'm in a space to honor it completely. And my energy is still very much absorbing, learning, and being there for people that are stuck in the situation. So, but yeah, if we ultimately look at it that, all of our needs matter, being heard, seen, taken care of, not provided for necessarily, but kind of. And then you provide for them and they provide for you. And it's, we all matter. We all matter. Everyone matters. Everyone matters. You matter. I matter. You matter. Men who are going to try to date me, I got my fierce shoes on. You ain't coming close to me. I'm gonna walk away from you easily, unless you're great and are actually ready. Okay.